Hi, I'm Linda Eastburn, and this is Intuitive Journeys. I'm training a team of intuitive remote viewers, and we are on the hunt. We're stealth detectives using only the power of our minds to get real-life answers.
The holistic experience, and that everything in life, every person in life is part of not only your story, but you're part of their story.
Last episode, Dylan was in the process of an intuitive remote viewing session. Now let's find out what is hidden in this envelope. And the image reveals, a window with a green wreath. Dylan drew the basic outline of a glass window frame. He also drew the wreath in the center and labeled it as green. I'm often asked the question, how does intuitive remote viewing work? Well, I don't know that anyone has an absolute answer to that, but I do have a pretty good working theory about it. I believe that we are all connected to something I refer to as universal mind. I believe it's a very large database of everything that has ever happened, everything that's happening now, and everything that happens in the future. And once we learn how to communicate or open a dialogue with that universal mind, which we're all connected to, we're all like a leaf on a larger tree, the tree being the universal mind, and we're just like one little tiny leaf or portion of it. But I think once we open that dialogue, once we start communicating with that larger resource, then there is no information that we can't access. We may get confused with the answer that comes in because we may just see little bits and pieces of a big puzzle. We have a very limited concept maybe of that big picture, but time and space is not limited to just our five senses around us, that's for sure. We're going to show that through the duration of this show, and we're going to observe that many times. Even our students are surprised how easy it is for them to access information outside of the time and space of our class. We're going to travel to locations they've never been before. We're going to have them see time outside of the box of today. We're going to look at past events and future events. We're just going to go everywhere and look at as much stuff as we possibly can. But now I can also say that on a practical basis, intuitive remote viewing can just be very helpful. Like you misplaced the keys to your car and you're needing to go somewhere. This happened to me one time. Finally, I just sat down, remote viewed them, was able to go right to them. That's just a real practical application for this. But you can see all sorts of things by using this. It is a little time consuming to learn how, but once you connect, it is very present in your ability. And I believe it's simply a mental conscious skill. You know, we've all misplaced things before. You know, a document, we put it somewhere, we don't remember where we put it. Yeah, that happens. It happens to all of us one time or another. Well, that's what happened to Karen. She had a car title. She put it away somewhere that she thought was safe. And then, of course, when she needed to find it, she couldn't find it. So we get to look for that. We're all going to just look as the best we can to see if we can help her locate the car title that she has misplaced. And now the team goes to work. So by the time I was looking at it and by the time she found it, about an hour passed by before we were able to locate it. I saw several indications as to where it was. One, it was in a drawer or a box low to the ground. I saw it near a blue hardback book and a red book or a magazine or something like that. But there's a red book and a blue book. And it seemed like it was a large book, maybe like an encyclopedia kind of book or a reference book of some sort. That was the sense that I got when I looked at it. I also saw that it was coiled around or wrapped with or in a bundle with some other things, some other documents or some other things. And it was really fun because sometimes we think that intelligence doesn't belong to objects. But after I saw those things and I passed that information along to her, I just connected with or harmonized with the title itself and asked, how can Karen find you? And what happened was I got some information that came in immediately. It said, not that difficult to find. She's trying too hard. She needs to defocus to be able to see me. It also said that it was more visible than she was giving it credit for. Read me your summary.
I have that the title was found in a nightstand-like table, but it was an area near the floor. And it was either on or in the table with a pile of books.
I thought she was looking for a key.
Well, I can say both of you had some elements here. It was found in the lower drawer of a dresser, so that was good. A key was found with it. A key was in a bundle with it. It was close to a red book and a blue book that were in the same drawer with it. And she sat down. She knew she put it somewhere. She had, she just didn't know where. She sat down. She kind of relaxed for a minute, went straight to that drawer, opened it up, and there it was. Okay. One of the foremost important parts of being an intuitive remote viewer is attention, focus, and concentration. If you can know exactly where your attention is at any point in time, then you will know if your mind and your focus is upon the target that you're trying to hit in remote viewing. Because everything's blind to us. We don't know what we're looking for. We may know bits and pieces of what we're looking for, but we don't know the whole story. I can tell you when I first started this, I didn't know for sure how I was going to go about it. So I decided to pick an address from a phone book. I decided that, sure, if there's a phone number at this property, there's probably a house there, right? Yeah, that just makes sense. So that's what I did. I just focused on that address, an address that it was totally unknown to me. And I just looked at the outside of the house and tried to see it as clearly as I possibly could, holding that in my focus and attention. By doing so, I asked then to perceive various elements of the property so I could know if I was for sure there remote viewing it. What I found was initially when I went into this address, I saw a baby blue colored home. And it was a time when blue houses were not very prominent. Now you see blue houses fairly often, but at that time, no. But I saw this baby blue house and I'm thinking, this doesn't feel right. I don't think this is the right location. So I just backed away from it, erased everything in my mind, went back and centered my attention and focus on the address, asking to see the property from the outside of the home. I didn't want to invade privacy by any means. What I found was, initially I was really close to the property. I was really close to white painted brick. I was so close I could actually see the runs of paint running down the brick. Then I backed away and I saw white siding, black roof, picture window, one car garage. So a small little porch with some of that old green fake grass on it, carpet, and one metal post painted white, and I saw one tree in the front yard, and it was a very well-balanced tree right in the middle of the yard. That was what I described. I wrote it all down. Later that day, I drove by the house, and the baby blue house was right next door. So obviously, I was close to target, but not on target when I saw the baby blue house. But then as I looked at the house, I got two things wrong. I transposed the garage. I saw it like on the right side. It was actually on the left side of the house. Very easy thing to do is transposing something in this. I also saw the paint, or not the paint on the white brick. That was correct. The siding was a very, very pale gray, and I saw it as a white. So I got two things wrong, but basically everything else about the house I saw was correct. Now, this took me on a real intuitive journey. About 5 or 6 times a week, I would sit down and just remote view properties that I had no idea what they looked like. I knew I was going for the exterior of a house, however, so that did eliminate a lot of things. I would look for the style of home, I would look at the colors around it, and then finally I became so savvy at doing this, and kind of like a game, I would ask for one specific thing at this house so I knew if I was actually on target at this property. even above and beyond the other things I was getting correct. And I would sometimes see like a boat on the right side of the backyard, tarp down with a blue tarp. One time I saw a very unique bird bath in the front yard between two windows. And then one point, I remember this very distinctly because it was so odd. I saw a curved, like what I thought was a sidewalk. Right in the middle of the front of the house was this kind of curved thing that went around to the other side of the house. And I thought, well, that must be a sidewalk. When I got there, however, because I would always drive by these places later on, when I got there, it was actually the driveway. How odd. It was not an expensive neighborhood, not the type of neighborhood where you would find something of that nature, but it was a driveway that came in right in the middle of the street, right up to the house, curved and went around to the garage on the side. Very odd, but it told me this was accurate. And as I began doing this more and more, I found that I had a very high accuracy rate with the houses of being able to be on target. I was either completely right or I was completely off, completely wrong. So this is a skill. It's something that if you practice, you can get better and better at it. I teach it, and now we're doing a show about it. So I invite you all to come with me on my intuitive journeys and with the rest of the group. I invested in a couple of lime trees this year, hoping that someday they'll be large enough to actually produce some limes for me. Of course, I'll have to take them in the winter because they can't handle the cold temperatures here. But yeah, they're coming along very nicely. They're growing. I don't like to get off into, kind of crazyville, bizarre stuff too much, but we have a mystery that we're trying to solve this week. It's very odd. That's all I can tell you. It's just a very odd situation that happened to a client, and he's willing to let us talk about it on air. He's willing to let us look at it, research it, and see what we think actually took place. But it's a little different, and we'll see what everyone gets. I know what I got, but we'll see what everyone else gets. Next episode, the team intuitively remote views this mysterious symbol. Join us to find out what they discover. I invite you to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.